Ms. Mr. Lizzie Max, I think Splendour was probably one of the best moments of your life, judging by what I've seen on your social media. Is that a good assessment of how it went?
I think that was an accurate assessment of the situation.
Up in the top 3 shows we've ever played, so it was amazing. Such an incredible crowd.
Yeah.
And that's the sort of high that you can ride for a few weeks.
How many weeks would you say you can ride that for? Until you start descending down?
Like the rest of the summer, and then I think at least till September.
You seem a lot more like affable and personable than I'd expected. I thought you'd be really mean. Like I thought these people with their
meaner if you want us to. I think in general people have been surprised to meet us, and then we're not all sort of like doom and gloom like the record might suggest.
Lizzie, I am going to ask sort of basically a 2-part question here about your Neon Gold.
Go on.
Interests merged with the Ms. Mr. interests. Now, when you started a band, were you concerned first of all that it might, if the music maybe wasn't what you'd hoped it would be, would reflect poorly on your label in a professional sense? Like people would go, oh, now she's making music, like whatever, she's no good at. You gave me the mean look, and I got like, were you like concerned that might happen?
Honestly, no, but only because when Max and I started writing music, it was such an honest, I don't know, sort of safe escape for the two of us. You know, we wrote in secret basically for a year. We didn't tell anyone we were doing it. I think just for us, because of my role working in the industry, I wanted to be free and feel I could be as creative and artistic as I wanted without the pressures of thinking where it might go or what an outside opinion might be.
Having that practice, I think that's good practice for a musician, because you're, especially, we've started sort of thinking about a second record, and as everyone moves into that, it's always like you always are facing more pressures than you would normally have, originally faced, and everyone has sort of their second record slump or whatever.
Perhaps I'm just sort of like imprinting my own like overthinking on your lives.
Are you doing okay? How's it going?
If it was me in that situation, I would also be concerned that people would go, oh, like she runs a label, like this is a bit calculated.
I think there's been maybe a little bit of skepticism, and we sort of expected that, but it's one of the reasons why we put the music out anonymously when we first did, and for us that was important because it meant that it was validating sort of the music that we had written, that people were coming to it for the right reasons and not because of the association with what I'd done previously, and that really happened very organically. No one knew who we were for the first, how many months of the project do you think when we released it? 6. So really it had nothing to do with who Max and I were as individuals or people and what we'd done before. It was just about the music, and that was really important. And I think it would have been more seen as a leg up or a vanity project had we signed to Neon Gold, but that was a conscious decision too for Max and me to separate ourselves from that and sort of define ourselves as a band first and let the two worlds sort of exist in parallel universes.
You mentioned the sophomore release, which I imagine you're working on at the moment. I know you guys are fans of like experimental pop, Alt J particularly. I assume like that kind of Django, everything kind of scene as well. It feels like it would be a very small step to like the side for you guys to go down that sort of an avenue.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we are constantly interested in experimentation, and I don't ever want to be put in a box, and I want to feel the freedom and comfort to continue to sort of bring in any inspiration that strikes in that moment. And
you could be like put in a box if like you got really angry, as you're prone to doing, and you need to be like quarantined or controlled though.
Never with me.
Yeah, like a kennel.
But I think it's just as likely that we could make a pure pop song as it is that we could go a sort of a more alt route.
So you're not going to go, I want to sound exactly like Alt J, and then you like don't.
No. Well,
that's not how we really write anyway. I think nothing about what we've done to date was predetermined. We sort of like wrote on a song by song basis, and each song was sort of an experiment within like different sounds and different genres, even though I hope it was all sort of rooted in a pop aesthetic. So I think that will continue to happen on the next record. I think it already is, even in just the bits we've already sort of started on.
We'll write a song that sounds like this or whatever. It always evolves into something completely different. We're not very good at sort of a concept album or a concept
like commandeering
song.
Influences. I think it would be quite experimental or even insane to go out and say, like in the media, I want to sound exactly like Old J, and literally just like mimic them and try and just like release songs that don't even sound influenced by them. It sounds like they've actually made them.
I sing as if I'm underwater.
You mentioned your friends, your sort of New York scene, whatever. A lot of people seem to talk about like that place like eating people up and sort of spitting them out. Now you guys are like natives to New York, I think.
Not
We
really.
are in the way that, like, I think all New Yorkers are native to New York, and
Yeah.
that no one's actually from New York.
But you spent a lot of time there.
We have, I mean, since we graduated school, for how many, 4 years?
Yeah. So, like, do you subscribe to that at all? Or do you think it's just like people being really dramatic and going, oh my God, I'm in New York, my life's like so dramatic. And they get caught up in this like Sex and the City crap. And you just go, you're a boring asshole. Just get on with your life and stop trying to make out like it's a soap opera.
Definitely a tough place to live, and I think it's not cut out for everyone. But I happen to think that we both are people that thrive in that situation, especially when writing the record, where you know, it's New York, so you have to work. I was like working in restaurants. I was going to dance school, writing on the side, just sort of, you know, we were writing whenever we could have the time, and I think that definitely influenced our sound.
Genuinely, New York is really fucking brutal. You got to be the right personality, I think, to deal with it. And Max has said in the past, you know, that it was only the two of us that worked the record, but if there was a third sort of person that was involved, personality, it was New York City, and that was a huge sort of source of influence for us and energy in the record, and it's important to us that that's home.
Lastly, another friend of yours, Marina, of Marina and the Diamonds notoriety, she just like everything about her blows my mind. Like, she's very intelligent and you know,
Ultimate
chatty,
babe.
ultimate babe, and then so you're already like, oh, like amazing, and then she gets up on stage and she's all like talented and shit, and you're like, this is like too
It's a lot.
much.
It's very
This is
intimidating.
there's a lot
She's
going
the
on
full
here.
package. It's true.
There's
yeah.
a lot going on. What's your relationship like with her? Is it good enough to perhaps put in a good word?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you want us to pass along your number?
Yeah.
If you feel so inclined.
I mean, you know, but don't be upset if she doesn't
I
call
agree,
you. But like,
subtly. Yeah.
well, they're happy to pass it. She definitely enjoy it.
I feel like she like could date like sports stars. You know, you could date
Yeah.
if you.
I sort of would like her to date
my God.
a sports star. That's actually a wonderful suggestion, although
Yeah.
this unfortunately is making it more difficult for you to get in there.
Unless you're a hidden sports.
I'm okay at sports. I ride a bike here. That's why I've got hat hair.